All right, so here we go for alternating skeins. So obviously I'm going to use two different colors for this so that you can see what we're going to talk about. And we're going to try to keep this in the frame, but I have to look over Jennifer's arm to be able to do it. So we'll see how this goes. So this is my first color. I just did a little sample on these needles, and I'm about to join the second ball of yarn. So if you were starting this from scratch, you would start this sooner with the second ball of yarn, but because we're doing this example, I just wanted to have a good base to start with. So I'm going to drop the yarn that I was knitting with, and I'm going to add the second color. So we're just going to knit like we normally would. No big deal. I knit continental, but you can see how this would work either way. So I just get set up here. So now I'm just going to, I've just added my yarn. Have to excuse the yellow dye on my thumb there. Okay, so we'll just go around. Nothing more to see here. We'll just cut to me going around to where it starts to get interesting. Okay, so here we are. I'm coming up to where I changed colors. So I've just stopped 4 stitches ahead, but I'm actually going to do one more. So I'm 3 stitches in front of where I changed colors. So now here's the trick. I'm going to drop the yarn I was working with, and I'm going to slip purlwise the 3 stitches. Okay, so now I'm at the stitch where the original color was. I'm just going to tighten that up a little bit, pick it up, and start knitting with this color. Okay, so just going to go around again, so I'll meet you back here. So here we are again. So now I'm 3 stitches before I join up to where I started the brown. The white is there. I'm going to drop my brown. Then I'm going to slip purlwise the 3 stitches that I did at first for white. And by now you're trying to figure out how is this going to work, but you just have to trust us, and we'll see how this works. So I'm just going to make sure everything's tight, and now I'm going to start to knit with the white. Okay, so I'm just going to stop and show you how this looks. So it still looks like it's going to be crooked, but you're going to see how this is going to work at as it ends. And on the back, you're going to see that there's no indication that there's anything happening there, no mark on the inside or the front side of the work. So I'm just going to do a couple rounds, and you'll see how this will all turn out. Okay, so we're back, and I just placed a split ring marker where we started, just so you can see how this is working. And I've done several rounds now, and I'm just showing this. So I'm over here working with my brown, 3 stitches before I started with the brown on this row. So I'm going to slip these 3 stitches just like what we were doing before, and then I would keep going with the white because that's the yarn that I have there. But what I wanted to show you at this point, because this just keeps going around and around and around, is that the only place that you can even tell that there's any kind of changing of colors going on is just in the very first row. And you can tell I did a flat piece here, but if you were doing something and you wanted stripes, if you had ribbing or something like that here, this would be almost imperceptible to anybody looking at it. Keeping in mind that we were showing this because we wanted to show how to alternate skeins seamlessly for when you're using hand-dyed yarns, and you can see you really can't tell. So you started here, this change would happen here, it keeps going all the way back like 3 stitches at a time until we're all the way over here, and there's not a stitch where you out of place anywhere. And on the inside of the work, it's completely invisible as well. The only thing you've obviously got your end that you're going to weave in where you start it, and the first row is a little bit obvious, but other than that, all the way up your work, you're not going to have any kind of lines going vertically on your work where you're twisting yarns or anything like that. So it's a really cool way. We have to really thank our peeps for telling us about this, because this is going to change the way that we're knitting with our alternating skeins as well. And if you want to do stripes, they're jogless except for the one where you start and the one where you would end as well, but that's easily worked into the pattern. You do it in a place that wouldn't be obvious. Start it off in a place that wouldn't be obvious, and that's it. It's really slick and cool. Okay, so I'm just going to do this one more time just to make sure that it's super clear for everybody. So I'm going to back that out. So I was going around on this last round with the brown. I'm 3 stitches before I started that row of brown. I'm going to slip these 3 white stitches because that's going to be the beginning of my white round. Okay, and I'm just going to tighten this up a little bit. I'm getting pretty loose actually. And then I'm going to be working with the white, so I'm just going to get my thing going, and I'm going around with the white again. So if we just clarify, when you go back, the first 3 stitches of your change in color round are always the 3 slip stitches. But when you have the knitting all done and the stitches are all even and everything, you cannot see where those slip stitches were. They're imperceptible when you're finished your work. So you just have to remember that's how it works. It looks a bit odd because you end up with 3 stitches of an alternating color, but you just keep going. It just makes sense. The yarn that you're going to knit with is here, dangling at the end of those 3 slip stitches. Pick it up and just go around.